So, hello, everybody, and a very, very warm-hearted welcome. I'm Fran Rose Bullock, cancer survivor and founder of the Cancer Fitness Expert. And today you are listening to the Thrive After Cancer pop-up podcast, where I am joined by experts in recovery to bring you a wellness toolkit to support you in your cancer recovery journey. Now, in today's episode, I'm having a conversation with the lovely Dr. Liz O'Riordan, who many of you will be familiar with and her work. So, hi, Liz. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Fran. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. It's fantastic to have you here. I'm thrilled that we get to share this moment together and with our listeners. So many of our listeners, like I say, will be familiar with your inspiring story. If they're not that familiar, then I invite them to go and Google you after the episode, and they will find all sorts of wonderful videos, Instagram stories, going back a few years now. Because I mean, let's just say you've got this exceptional perspective, I would say, on in this domain. I mean, you've worked as a breast cancer surgeon,
Yeah.
which you did for many years. And then you yourself had breast cancer not once, but three times
Yeah.
in the space of about 8 years. Yeah.
It's been a lot. I thought I knew everything there was to know about breast cancer, and then I realized I knew nothing.
Nice. I know from my perspective as well, what I know now and then what I knew then at the time of being diagnosed, worlds apart. And I
Yeah.
think that's really why I wanted to create this series, because what we know, if we knew then what we know now, things could be maybe very different, maybe not, but at least we have that knowledge.
We do. And I think if I'd known then what I know now, I might not have changed what I did because you've got to be in the right mental headspace to accept what you're hearing. But I think for me as a doctor, it was realizing patients want so much more than chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and surgery. They want to know how to live when we say goodbye. And I had no idea how to help them until I needed that help myself.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's that space, isn't it, where we're sort of let loose. We've got that freedom, which sounds wonderful, but actually it's quite scary.
Very scary.
Yeah, yeah, it's the aftermath where, yeah, we've got maybe the odd visit to the physio. Every few months we go back to see the doctor, but really we're sort of ultimately left a little bit to our own devices.
With the internet at your fingertips.
Yeah, which is good and bad, as
Yeah.
we know. Yeah. And so, yeah, so because of this, you sort of basically dedicated your work life now to educating, promoting awareness around breast cancer and your unique standpoint on this. Um, so, I mean, so from what I see, you're like this, you're a huge advocate for empowering people with this knowledge to understand what's happening, when they get first bombarded with the news that they've been diagnosed with cancer. So helping them to make informed decisions is one thing. And I mean, given your extensive expertise, so looking back, so relating to what you just said, really looking back, is there anything that you would have done differently during your cancer journey, knowing what you know now?
I think I was lucky. I told Twitter I had breast cancer the day before, the day after I found out. I was going to be recognized in the hospital where I worked when I had chemo, and I wasn't ashamed about it. But I
Mm,
didn't meet another patient in the flesh. But several other doctors who were having cancer told me how to cope with chemo, and they told me to exercise, they told me to drink water, they told me the importance of eating a healthy diet. And I did everything I should have based on their advice. If I
yeah.
hadn't have had them, I wouldn't have done any of it. And I think because I'm a strange patient because I have all this knowledge and all this information, and I can easily interpret the things that you read, do this, do that, don't use this. I know what's true and what isn't.
Hmm.
But I think I had no idea how large the cancer space was. And I used to tell my patients, don't Google. There's a load of scary stuff out there. Here's a pile of leaflets I now know you're never going to read. And I think the future is changing where we healthcare professionals should be digitally signposting patients to say, you're going to go online. Your mum wants to know what's happening. Your granny wants to know. You want to know. These are some really good resources, podcast books that you can go to that patients have trusted and said they are helpful.
Mm.
So you don't feel alone. And you know that it's normal to feel like this on day 5 of chemo or normal to feel like this at the end of radiotherapy. And I think just hearing from more people going through what I was going through would have helped me realize This is normal. This is okay. This too shall pass.
It's true because it's for ourselves, but also for our loved ones
Yep.
who want to understand. And perhaps they're asking us questions. Maybe we don't know the answers, and maybe we don't really want to talk about it at that moment in time.
My husband felt like I was having an affair. I was cheating on him because I spent all my time talking to my cancer buddies on WhatsApp and said, I told him, you cannot understand. You don't understand the crazy thoughts in my head. You don't get
Mhm.
it. And I don't know how to make you. And he found that very hard. But then for me, a lot of people said, you'll be fine. You can't
Mhm.
say that because you cannot prove it. I might not be. And I know you desperately can't bear to think of me dying, but it might happen.
Yeah,
And it's really hard. Now I get it and I can understand where they're coming from. But at the time, there was so much rage and anger. You can't say I'll be fine. You can't do this. You can't tell me to cheer up. You don't get it.
yeah,
And that just drives a wedge between you and the people who are desperately trying to help you.
exactly. It really does. It makes that divide just grow and grow, which at the point in time we need it to be,
Yeah.
we need to feel close to people. We need to feel their support.
And
It's
I
so
think
true.
I want a button here. Sorry, you can tell me off. I've learnt how to handle that, especially when it comes to scanxiety, the fear
Hmm.
of recurrence. You have a mammogram coming up, you have a scan, you wobble. And I now, because I'm terrible at asking for help, I'm a bloomin' independent doctor who think I should be able to look after myself. I've learned to tell my husband, I am going to be a stroppy, irritable cow for the next 2 or 3 weeks until I get the results. There is nothing you can do to make me better because my brain is going up and down a roller coaster. Just accept it, tolerate me, forgive me, and if the scan is good, I'll come back to normal. And telling him what I need and don't need has been a huge help.
Yeah, that's such good advice as well, because that honesty and that vulnerability is so connecting as well, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm sure he appreciates that
I'm
a
sure he
lot.
does.
So, yeah, and have you made then any significant lifestyle changes since having these diagnoses?
Oh, so I had just got into sport when I was diagnosed. I just started doing triathlons. I'd started open water swimming. My husband and I had ridden 100 miles on a bike, and I'd really got into sport. And I wasn't sure whether I could carry on. And it was friends and patients who told me to keep training. None of my doctors did. And this was only back in 2015. And I had all these dreams to do big, crazy sporting challenges afterwards. And actually, I did. So the year after I finished treatment, I did a half Ironman. I did the 2 mile swim in the Serpentine. I was cycling up mountains. And I was doing a lot of stuff because I thought people would expect me to, because I was fit when I was diagnosed. And then my
Hmm.
cancer came back, and then my cancer came back. And I'm now finally doing things I love for
Yeah.
me. And I don't enter challenges. I don't do stuff to raise money. I don't set myself crazy goals because I know I will get ill. I will get sick. Life gets in the way. Someone will die. I don't have the energy, especially I'm on like palbociclib. So my energy levels are constantly dropping. They're like normally 7 out of 10. And I've learned to say, do what you love.
Hmm.
So I'm in the gym. I love the weight training. I love feeling strong. I've just got on the Peloton bike. I do my open water swimming in the winter. I exercise for me and
Yeah.
I've stopped thinking about what other people think I should do. Oh no,
Hmm.
actually that's not what I think other people think I should be doing.
Yeah.
So we put so many expectations on ourselves, and especially when you are a public figure, I think, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. I don't like running. I don't
Simple.
need to run again. It's fine. You're not letting
Yeah.
anyone down. And I think doing what I love that nurtures me has been a
Hmm.
huge change.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. I think it's so true to find those things that nourish us. Yes, it could be
Yeah,
something that's got a bit of adrenaline or something a bit physically difficult, but it needs to be nourishing.
yeah.
Not not like we're beating ourselves.
And it's funny. So as an athlete, I would track all the data. If it's not on Strava, it didn't happen. I've got my Garmin watch. I've got this. It's all about data, data, data.
Yeah.
And now I hardly log anything. My
Mm,
mother-in-law closes her Apple Watch rings 3 times a day, but I don't care anymore. I don't need to know. I don't need that track because for me, I'm setting myself up for failure. Oh, I missed one.
mm.
I just do what I need to on the day, and that has been so freeing.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. I mean, because I know you talk a lot about the power of exercise.
Mm.
So I think, and I was going to talk about the fact that you did a triathlon during chemo, which
Yeah,
is
I did.
wow. I mean, that's incredible.
So
Um,
we
but
know that I mean, you know this as well. I'm lecturing to the expert here, but we know that if you exercise regularly, and that is resistance training, which is almost more important than aerobic, doing the squats and the lifts and the lunges, and you can do them at home, anaerobic activity 5 times a week, it can reduce your risk of recurrence by 20 to 30%. Now,
Mhm.
we give chemo if there's a minimum 5% benefit.
Yeah.
Exercise can quadruple that, and it's free, and there are no side effects.
Mhm.
You've got to work hard enough to get a bit sweaty. It's got to hurt a little bit, but that's amazing. And when I'm exercising, I'm just Liz. I'm
Yeah.
not Liz with chronic pain, or I'm just me. We
Yeah.
also know it is the best thing for fatigue, although
Mhm.
it's the last thing you want to do. It can help with all the physical and mental side effects. And I'm so glad people told me to do it because I'm sure I'm better for it.
Absolutely. 100%. And like you say, I mean, if somebody could invent a magical pill medication, it would be exercise,
It's
wouldn't
exercise. I think it
it?
should be the first drug that every cancer patient is given. Even exercising in those 2 to 3 weeks between your positive biopsy and waiting for your surgery, it can make a difference to how well you recover.
Yeah, that prehab.
Rehab,
Exactly.
it's incredible. And it's something you can do to take control of. Oh my goodness, I've got breast cancer. My surgery's in a month. Right. I'm going to walk every day. I'm going to start doing squats when I go to the loo. I'm going to make myself strong and fit. It is amazing.
Yeah. 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 That's that control over something in your life when
Yeah.
everything else seems to be feeling like it's a bit chaotic. Having that piece of control is so powerful.
And actually, I didn't like my body. I didn't like my scar. I didn't look at myself naked for about 5 months. I didn't like how I looked. I'd lost my hair. But when you exercise, you think, wow, my body's amazing.
Yeah.
It's got me through this treatment. And yes, I mean the sprint triathlon, I it was halfway through chemo. I'd signed up to do it, and I had to persuade my local club that I would be very slow and sensible and I wouldn't do anything silly, and my husband would be there to catch me if I suddenly had a heart attack on the course because they'd never had anyone do it. And there was another girl there doing it who'd just finished chemo. And I took me about 8 minutes to swim 12 laps. I was really slow. And I was waving to everyone on the bike course. What are you doing? The marshals, you should be down racing. No, hello. And I ran the whole way. Well, I say ran, I slowly jogged. It took me 45 minutes to waddle my way around that 5K. But crossing that finish line, bold as a coot, not caring who saw me, it was like,
Wow.
there's life. I'm not just a cancer patient. You
Yeah.
can do anything. You may need to reset your expectations, but actually, you can do anything.
Yeah. That feeling of feeling alive, really.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
bling. It's all about partly about the bling. But just that, if you'd have told me as a girl who avoided sport at school actively that I would be trying to do a triathlon halfway through chemo, I'd have said, you are crazy.
Yeah.
But there's just something about getting out there and doing something that you never thought you could.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it opens a door, doesn't it, as well as closing a few. There are definitely a few
Yeah.
that open.
What doors
And
have opened for you?
oh, well, sport-wise, actually, I actually did a Spartan race.
Oh, now what's that now? Remind me.
So that is like obstacles and trail running. So
Mm-hmm.
you run between the obstacles and they were surprisingly hard, a lot harder than I thought. Um, and it's something I wanted to do for years, pre-cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and just I don't know, never got round to it. And I wasn't trying, I don't think I was trying to prove anything to anybody. Um, but having a goal,
Yeah.
having something that I could work towards, and also rather than saying, okay, I'm going to lift, this amount of weight, because I love resistance training and I think it's absolutely key. But I love playing. I love
Yeah.
doing like monkey bars or handstands, things where I feel, like you said, I don't feel like a patient. I feel like sort of go back to a bit of childhood
Yeah.
playing. It's fun. It's not about the time. When I go for a run now, if ever I go for a run, I throw my watch, on the side. I don't take it with me because I think you're right, not always being against the clock and not always comparing yourself.
That's it. Because I
Yeah.
was comparing my pre-cancer times to my post-cancer times. And obviously, chemo can affect your heart, and I wasn't as fit. You think, oh my goodness, I'm never getting it back. And actually, no one cares what numbers I'm putting out there into the world. The only person looking is me, and I'm just getting upset. So it's like you said, just go for a run based on feel. And
Yeah. And as well, I think it helps you get back that sense of identity of who are you? Who were you? Not necessarily before, but who are you now?
yeah,
You're not just the person who had cancer.
no.
You're so many other things. And it's sort of remembering that sometimes is not easy. So yeah. So as both a surgeon and a cancer survivor, what do you think is the most important aspect of self-care that patients often overlook during their cancer journey?
Oh, wow. I think, well, I know for me, I found it very hard to be selfish
Mhm.
and to put myself first. I was so worried about what my husband was feeling and my brother and my parents were feeling, or what the doctors. I'm worried that the doctors think I'm not going through chemo properly because I'm a doctor. I found it very hard to be vulnerable and
Mm,
to say, the minute my husband leaves to go to work, I'm crying on the floor of the shower because don't have the energy to stand. And I don't want him to know how scared I am or how upset I am that I can't have children. I was hiding all that to protect them.
mm,
And I was stopping the people I love from loving me and giving me that support. So I think one of the hardest things I had to do was just to let people in. And if they don't want to come in, that's fine. But just being open and honest and saying, I'm scared I'm going to die. Let's sort our wills out. Let's talk about the elephant in the room for me.
yeah.
But I think a lot of patients and doctors don't realize how much of an impact cancer has on your mental health for life. Depression, anxiety, PTSD can hit months or years down the line just out of the blue. October is coming up. It is an incredibly triggering month. It's not
Mm,
for breast cancer patients. It's why
no.
I'm doing a lean on me thing, lean on us with Sarah from Get Me Back UK to say, look, come to us. We'll help you with meditation and sport and exercise because it's someone dies online. You're like, oh my goodness, I can't cope.
Yeah.
And I think knowing that mental health problems are normal and that there is counseling available for free through most cancer centers and to tell patients about it, I think can really, really help. But
Hmm.
it's being selfish and putting yourself first,
Hmm.
actually. No one's going to look after you if you don't look after yourself.
Absolutely. That often goes hand in hand, doesn't it? Sometimes with this sort of cancer personality that we hear about, where often we are people pleasing, we
Yeah.
are often looking after others above ourselves, which suddenly, yeah, we have to really fight against that and sort of change our character that we've perhaps been for however many years and really work on that, which is a
And
hard one.
it's hard to do it without pissing off the people you love and suddenly changing. But I think every once in a while, just saying, I need this. This is
Mhm.
what, and don't, this is life lessons here. Stop expecting people to get inside your head and know what you want.
True.
Today, I need you to get the shopping or change the toilet roll or just make me a cup of tea. I need that from you. That will help me. Because people want to help and we don't know what to ask them for because we've never been in this position ourselves.
Yeah.
I tell everyone if you can go and change someone's sheets, they will love you forever. The hot, sweaty mess. I needed a sheet fairy every day. It didn't appear, but I didn't ask.
Yeah. And then we're thinking, why am I so annoyed? Why am I so frustrated? But if we don't say it, if we don't communicate it, it's true.
Yeah,
Because we're all, it's everybody in that situation is often new to it, aren't they? You,
yeah.
your partner, your kids, your family. Nobody really understands. Nobody
No. And I think
had lessons in this.
you cannot compare yourself to anybody else.
Mm,
I am very aware that when I am posting me doing a half Ironman a year after finishing treatment, there are people who still can't walk down the road.
mhm.
And that's why I try and show the low moments, the sad moments, the I'm exhausted moments, because Instagram, Twitter, social media, they're all like, this is my super shiniest bit of life.
Yeah.
You're not seeing the reality and you can't compare what you're going through or what you're feeling with anybody else. And it's
Mm-mm.
you need to get that little bit of reality just to step back and say, what you are going through is far more important than anyone online.
Yeah. And allowing yourself that as well, not to feel like a burden or that being becoming a problem, if you like, for other
Yeah.
people. It's
Or
it's
you're not raising thousands of pounds for charity, or you're not doing this,
mm,
you're not posting that. You don't need to do anything for anybody. There are no rules.
no, no. And if you want to completely forget about it after you've had your treatment and, go in a completely different direction or never talk about it again, that's also a choice. There's no right or wrong. It's so true. And I was going to say, like, you're so open, which I love about your mental health struggles, both before and during and after
Yeah.
cancer. So I was going to ask you, like, what strategies did you find the most helpful in managing, the emotional toll of
Yeah.
cancer? And how do you think patients can prioritize their mental health during treatment? Well, before, during, and after, really.
Great
All,
question. And again, I'm not a psychiatrist. This is just my
yeah.
experience as a patient and a doctor. So I had suicidal depression twice as a consultant surgeon in the year before I was diagnosed,
Mm,
just through the stress of telling 10 women a day they had cancer. And I didn't realize I was seriously depressed until I thought about doing something stupid. And that had to tell my husband I'd been signed off work for 6 months. And that came out of the blue. And there was a lot of anger there because he thought I'd been lying to him. I didn't know.
mhm,
And I got therapy, I got counseling. I've had depression for a long, long time. I was changed my tablets. And then when cancer came, it was a different kind of depression. It's all about loss and grief.
mm,
The loss of your fertility, your sexuality, your independence, your financial status, your career. You lose everything. And then you've got the anxiety that comes, that gut wrenching, stomach churning. I'd never had anxiety like it. And I think for me and for anyone listening, the first thing to do is find out what the physical signs and symptoms of depression and anxiety are. And the NHS website is great. And often for me, it's my sleeping pattern changes, my eating pattern changes. I eat and
mhm,
sleep too much, or I don't eat or sleep enough. And that they're my physical warning signs to say, hang on a minute, is this the beginning of something? And
mhm,
I can kind of step back and see. And I will either talk to my doctor to say, do I need to change my antidepressant dose or investigate therapy or counseling that I've had before through the local Macmillan Centre. I know I need help to get through this. Every time my cancer has come back, my head has just been in a complete mess. And for me, having someone anonymous I can dump all my shit on and not worry
mhm,
about how they feel when I leave the room is incredible. Because I'm
mhm,
not going to be honest with my husband. I don't want to say anything that will offend him. Friends are fine, a bit of down the phone. If they have a bad day, then you can't talk about yours. And I think just knowing it's normal to struggle and knowing that depression and anxiety can be easily treated with tablets, with talking therapies that you may get for free through your cancer center. And as a bonus, some of the antidepressants help with the hot flushes. But I
mhm.
think it's being kind to yourself and having that checklist. What about you? You must have experienced these issues at some time.
Absolutely. I would say that maybe similar to you, I think I've had low level depression for most of my adult life,
Yeah.
with certain periods that have been harder than others due to external factors. Um, and I would say that for me, mine really hit hard, um, very much post treatment. I went through a really serious episode, and now I've done lot of work.
It's
Um,
hard, isn't it?
it's hard and it's not a straight line, it's a roller
Yeah.
coaster, but I do feel now, I would say I'm in a better place than I've ever been. I have really had to be selfish.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, not in a negative way, but in a sort of positive way that's helped me and I think helped clear up boundaries as well with other people in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think that cancer, I mean, I know it's hard to hear sometimes, especially if you're going through it, but for me, cancer was a bit of a gift, if you like, a bit of a life-changing point where I really had to take a close look at what
Yeah.
I needed.
I get it.
And yeah, and I
I,
think that in some way, it saved my life, which I know might sound a
no,
little bit
I
extreme,
get it.
but yeah.
I've been
Mm,
there.
mm,
I am a happier, stronger, more fulfilled woman now than I was as a 40-year-old breast surgeon who just did breast surgery and that was my life with no real social life, friends, hobbies outside. It was all surgery.
wow.
There are losses.
Hmm.
And I will never, I think I'm still in denial really that it's actually happened. But I've learned and I love when people come and say thank you and ask me questions, but it can take over my day. and I'm spending all my day looking after other people for free. And I think, well, when am I walking the dog? And when am I doing my exercise? And when am I knitting or sewing or doing something to nurture me? And
Yeah,
I've learned to block out that time in the diary as Liz time.
good. Yeah, that's
And
so.
this is going to sound crazy. Every couple of months, yeah, actually, I probably want my cancer to come back so I can clear the diary and start again because I just say yes to everything for fear
Says
of
it.
letting them down. This is just my personality. Sorry, mum, you're up there listening. But I think it's learning, it's accepting that I'm not the woman I was, that I get tired because we look great. No one would, we could both have metastatic cancer now. No one would know.
Yeah.
It's remembering we're not super women. We're vulnerable. We need time to physically and mentally heal.
Hmm.
And it's okay to say no. It is a single word sentence. You do not need to justify it. And actually, if I need to take a couple of days just to step back for me, then that is okay.
Hmm. So true. And it's such a, I always say it's such a shame I had to go through cancer to learn this,
Yeah.
but I don't see any other way that I would have learned it.
No.
Really don't. I needed this, kick up the what's it?
Yeah.
Um,
It's
with
almost, it's like finding your things. Yellow is my color. I have yellow. That just makes me happy.
yeah.
A color that you can just accessorize. It's like, yeah, okay, this is a bit of Liz that is still here, not cancer. And my thing is open water swimming. Now, I've not been for months. My dad died finishing the next book, but just being in open air in the cold water with friends,
Mm,
gossiping, freezing our tits off, that is my thing that is not cancer. And I think if you can find a couple of those that just remind you that you are a
yeah.
full person.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I like a
What's
bit of
your
cold.
thing?
I do also a bit of cold water swimming. I've just installed a tub in my on
Yeah,
my terrace. But I've got a cold, you might be able to hear, so I haven't been in for a few days. I would say I also have a dog, and I would say she as well has been a huge part of my recovery.
yeah,
Not only dragging me out for walks when I really don't want to go, um, but also just that, sort of unconditional love, and that there's no judgment, what you look like,
no.
how you're feeling. They just think you're this
What's
sort
she
of,
called?
she's called Ola.
Does Ola know when you were having a bad day?
I think she does. I mean, she's a rescue dog, so I think that she does have that sense. Um, but she's not overly. In fact, she's quite. It does me good sometimes because she'll sort of come over and give me this look as if to say, "Oh, come on,"
Yeah.
and I think, "All right then." Okay, all right, we'll go for another walk, or we'll have and then we have or she'll bring over a toy.
Yeah,
And that is like, oh my goodness, it just melts your heart because you think that is exactly what I needed.
yeah,
It's what she needed and it's what I needed. And there's no words spoken. There's no, discussion or even asking, how are you? Because sometimes
yeah,
you don't want to be asked that. And there's just this pure, I'm sure you have this with your dog, so this
yeah, I do.
pure like joy. And there's nothing that beats it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very lucky to have a dog in my life. And I always say to people, borrow a dog. If you haven't got a dog, borrow a dog.
Well, there's a
Take them for a
company that
walk.
I'm sure there's a charity called the Cinnamon Trust where you can offer to walk dogs from older people who can no longer exercise their dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I did on the back of after having cancer as well is I myself and Ola did a course. So she is now a therapy dog. And we go and
Oh,
visit people well, we just started in an elderly home. We just again, it's so, I think, healing for me. Yeah. So I think we can find these pieces, can't we? Like you say, the cold water, the having an animal near you, um,
hugs, more hugs.
more hugs. Hugs rule. Hugs are the future. And actually, I was going to ask you, apart from hugs, what would you like to see more of in the cancer recovery space going forwards?
Oh gosh. Oh, you've stopped me there. As a patient or as a
Oh,
surgeon or as a
oh.
policymaker?
obviously our listeners today are,
Yes.
coming at it from the perspective of a
Okay.
patient,
So I
usually.
think I
You
I
know.
think I think we need more understanding that cancer is a chronic disease. Even with primary cancer, there are long-term side effects that we are all dealing with, and healthcare professionals often don't know what they are or how to treat them. We are
Hmm.
getting much better about treating the menopausal side effects when HRT is off the table, but I think that three-way communication between oncologist, surgeon, GP, you're going to get a lot of these side effects. These are things that can help talking, but it's talking about the things I spend a lot of my time talking about. So how to get your sex life back if you want, what to eat. There are 10,000 cancer diet books on Amazon, and they're all BS. There is no cancer diet. We just eat what we should all be eating. We know that. How to eat, the supplements that you don't need to be taking, the exercise you should be doing, the things that can help you live a healthy, long life for as long as possible. I think I'd love to see more of that. So we're
Hmm.
not desperately searching influencers on TikTok. We all know how to give our doctors treatments the best chance of working.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Maybe less around the sort of miracle cure and more around the
There isn't.
holistic
I think
lifestyle.
this is it. When
Yeah.
you are diagnosed, you want certainty and hope. I want someone to say, this is why you got cancer. We can guarantee it will not come back. Thank you. And that's where alternative medicine, functional medicine wins our money.
Mm.
Cancer's a sneaky so and so. No one can promise you it won't come back. The only way to prove it doesn't come back is if you die of something else.
Yeah.
And it's helping us. Maybe we need to talk about death more. Are we actually
Mm.
scared of death and dying? It happens to us all, but we don't talk about it. Do we all need to say, it's going to happen to me? This is my will. This is whether I want to be buried or cremated. Let's have these uncomfortable discussions,
Mm.
and then you can put it aside.
Yeah. Because it is a certainty.
It is. But I didn't know what my dad died 3 months ago. I didn't know whether he wanted to be buried or cremated. He never talked about it. He was in his 80s. I had to
Mm.
force my husband to talk about it when my cancer came back the first time because he still thought he'd died before me.
Mm.
And maybe it's that mental training. I think maybe everyone should be given 12 weeks of counseling when they need it to say, let's help you get through this.
Yeah.
You have to deal with the consequences for the rest of your life.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, because opening up the discussion as well, sometimes we're very scared, aren't we, of,
Yeah.
oh gosh. And actually when we talk about it, it can help relieve that because it's a tension. We hold on to it as a tension. And actually by getting it out there or writing it down or saying it,
Yeah.
yeah, it can be so,
It's
such a relief.
freeing. I mean, I've had people say to me, your cancer's come back twice despite chemo and radiotherapy. Why do you believe the drugs? Why do you keep going? They're not working. Well, actually, they're doing the best they can. And the fact that I've exercised and stayed healthy has given me the best chance of staying alive. Who knows what would have happened if I hadn't have done that?
Hmm.
I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And I think, but I've got all my affairs in order. My husband knows what my passwords are and how to work the washing machine, all those silly little things.
Yeah.
But maybe we need to realize that nothing in life is certain. And yes, it's cancer, but it could have been something else.
Mm.
And but I think it's also the ghosting. You
Hmm.
lose friends and you create friends, and there can be some really toxic relationships online and amazing relationships online. And some way to navigate the online space to say these are great people to follow for recovery. You can do this. You can wear what you like. No one is looking at you. No one cares if you only got one breast because we all think our bum is too big. That self-consciousness you have in the very, very beginning, and how 5 years down the road you suddenly don't give a damn. Well,
Yes.
some of us don't give a damn.
Yeah. I'm getting there.
It takes time, and I still get
Yeah.
days where I think, God, I used to look at cleavages on the tube, thinking she's had a boobs done, she's had a boobs done. Now I'm just looking, I miss my cleavage.
Oh, yeah. There's some things I think that we will lose, and of course, that's like you say, in life, that's kind of life.
Yeah,
But also we realize that does that really matter? Is
no,
that really what's going to make us feel okay inside and give us that peace and tranquility that we
yeah,
we
and
need in our
stop,
minds?
stop the guilt. Cancer is not
Mm.
your fault.
No, no, absolutely not. But there are things we can do, like you
There
say.
are.
It's not nobody's fault, but we. We have certain choices we can make,
We do.
which is very empowering. Yeah. Hmm. Oh, thank you, Liz. This has been an absolute delight.
I feel I've not really given any wise lessons because it's, again, everybody is different, and what has helped me may not help another listener. But for me, I think it's knowing you're not alone.
Hmm.
And there are people out there who have gone through what you've gone through and who want to help you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you never regret putting your trainers on and going for a walk.
Mm. No, no. Get out there if you can.
Yeah, get out there.
Get some fresh air.
Come up with a plot for your next book or your next podcast or writing a song or who knows what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so true. Oh, well, thank you. I think we'll sort of bring it to an end on that really positive, inspiring note. And Liz, can you tell our listeners where they can find you if they don't already know?
Yeah, sure. So the easiest thing to do is just put my name into Google and I'll pop up. My website is liz.o'riordan.co.uk. I have a lot of educational videos on Instagram and YouTube. I have 3 books. The Complete Guide to Breast Cancer, the second edition with 20 new drugs, which is incredible, comes out on the 3rd of October. My memoir to find out more about my life as a female surgeon is called Under the Knife. And on the 3rd of October, you can pre order my third book, which is called The Cancer Roadmap: Real Signs to Guide Your Treatment Path, breaking down all the myths, what does and doesn't cause cancer, how to understand what's happening and make the right choices. And finally, my own podcast, So Now I've Got Breast Cancer, will be launching season 3 on the 16th of October, answering all your treatment questions.
Fantastic. Wonderful. And congratulations on the new book.
Thank you.
Very exciting. Can't wait to get my hands on it too. And yeah, once again, thank you so much, Liz. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you to our listeners. And please, listeners, feel free to share this podcast with friends and loved ones. And join me, Fran Rose Bullock, very soon for the next episode of Thrive After Cancer.
Oh, that was brilliant fun. Thank you.